Hello students, today I will discuss about biosafety and biosecurity. Let me begin. New infectious agents and diseases have emerged. The work with infectious agents in research, public health and clinical and diagnostic laboratories and also in animal care facilities has been expanded. Recent world events have demonstrated new threats of bioterrorism and a new discipline this was introduced in 1984. Next slide, what is biological agents? Viruses, bacteria, fungi and parasites are biological agents, but few other things that are considered as biological agents are blood, bloody fluids as well as tissue from human and animals and also transformed cell lines and certain types of nucleic acids. Classification of biological agents is based on based on infectious agents and also based on in epidemiological aspects. The classification based on infectious agent involves factors like infectivity, severity of disease, transmissibility, origin of agents, whether they are indigenous or exotic, and also nature of work being conducted. And based on epidemiology, the factors considered are geographical importance, interspecies transmissibility, existence and nature of vectors or carriers, economic and or medical impact, specific measures of containment and existence of prophylaxis and or effective treatment. Next slide. Group 1 organisms. Group 1 organisms are well characterized agents not known to cause disease in healthy individuals. These cause minimal potential hazard to laboratory personnel and also to the environment. The examples of group 1 organisms include E. coli, Bacillus subtilis, Pseudomonas, Saccharomyces cerevisiae, Candida albicans, Rhizopus species, infectious canine hepatitis virus and T4 bacteriophages. Next slide. Group 2 organisms. Group 2 organisms, these are agents of moderate potential hazard to personnel and also to the environment. The spread in the community can occur. There is a effective treatment and control available for these group 2 organisms. The examples are Salmonella bacteria, Staphylococcus aureus, Bordetella pertussis, Corynebacterium diphtheriae, E. coli, Neisseria gonorrhea, Streptococcus pyogenes, Vibrio cholerae, Klebsiella species, Proteus and Listeria monocytogenes. These are the few bacterial examples. Toxoplasma is a parasitic group 2 organism. Measles virus is a viral group 2 organisms. Hepatitis B virus and also rabies virus. Next slide. Group 3 organisms. Group 3 organisms are a serious or potential lethal disease causing agents. These exposure usually through inhalation route. Indigenous or exotic diseases may be through these group 3 organisms. Effective treatment and control is available for these group 3 organisms. Examples in this group are Bacillus anthracis, Mycobacterium tuberculosis, Brucella species, Coxiella burnetii, Pastorella multocida, Francisella tularensis, Flaviviridae and Herpes viridae viruses. Next slide. Group 4 organisms. Group 4 organisms are highly dangerous and exotic microbes and these are life-threatening disease-causing agents and there is no effective prophylactic and also treatment available for these group 4 organisms and high risk of spread in the community is there and there is no control on aerosol dissemination. For example, Ebola virus and Marburg virus. Next slide. What is a biohazard? Biohazard is like a potential hazard to humans, animals and also to the environment by a biological agent or its products. Such things are called as biohazardous things. Okay, and when biohazard sign is also is given, you can watch here. This is a biohazard sign. Next slide. What is biosafety? Biosafety, these are the measures employed when handling biohazardous material to avoid infecting oneself, others, and also the environment. Biosafety describes the containment principles, technologies, and practices. The purpose of this biosafety is to prevent the unintentional exposure to pathogens. How this is achieved? Biosafety is achieved through administrative controls, engineering controls, personal and protective equipments, practices, and procedures. Move on to next slide. What is biosecurity? Biosecurity, these are the measures employed to protect biohazardous material or critical relevant information, maybe against theft, against diversion, or intentional misuse. This biosecurity is achieved through physical barriers, psychological barriers, monitoring activities, personal clearances, etc. Move on to next slide. Here the principles of biosafety are given. There are three principles of biosafety. One is containment. Containment means controlling of the movement of the biological agent, technology, and practices. Next slide. Containment. Containment, these are the safe methods, practices, procedures, facilities, and equipment used for managing the infectious agents in the laboratory. There are three elements of containment. First one is the primary barrier, second one is secondary barrier, third one is practices and procedures. Next slide. Primary containment or barriers. These are the first line of defense. The protection of personal and immediate environment is taken care in primary containment. The primary barrier between personal and infectious agent material is maintained here. Use of proper storage containers, safety equipments such as biological safety cabinets, usually called as BSC, and good microbiological techniques. And also there is a use of personal protective equipments which include clothing, face mask, and safety glasses. The standard microbiological procedures practices include not to permit a few activities like eating, drinking, smoking, and handling of the contact lenses, and pipetting by mouth, and storing of the food and like drinks. You should not store. These are the few standard microbiological practices. Move on to next slide. Secondary containment or barriers. Secondary containment or barriers protects the environment external to the laboratory from exposure. It is provided by a combination of facility designs and operational practices. You can see here few pictorial representation has been given that how the secondary containment is maintained. Next slide. Clean bench. There are two laminar flows given here. One is horizontal laminar flow, other one is vertical laminar flow. You can see the flow of the clean air. Dirty air enters from the bottom of the horizontal laminar flow and it comes in a horizontal fashion onto the air is blown onto the working table. Whereas in vertical laminar flow, the dirty air, which is depicted in red color, it enters from the top of the vertical laminar flow and the clean air is blown, the filtered air is blown on the working table and it comes out of the working table in a blue color. It is depicted in blue color. Next slide. Biological safety cabinets. These are called usually as BSCs. These provide effective primary biocontainment in laboratories, effectively capture the infectious aerosol using HEPA filter. HEPA stands for high efficiency particulate air filters. It traps 99.97% of the particles of 0.3 micrometer in diameter. There are three general classes, class 1, class 2 and class 3 have been devised. Next slide. Class 1 biosafety cabinet. Here there is a pictorial representation of biological safety cabinet. You can see how the air movement is there. The air will move, the dirty air will move into the biosafety cabinet 1 and it is filtered in a HEPA filter and then clean air is blown onto the work surface. Different parts of this biosafety cabinet 1 is given. You can go through. Next slide. This is a class 2 biosafety cabinet. Here you can see one scientist working here in class 2 biosafety cabinet. An open air front ventilated cabinet this is, and HEPA filtered recirculated mass air is blown within the workplace. And in the right side, a side view is given how exactly the dirty air is sucked in this biosafety cabinet, how it is filtered and how it is blown onto the working area. And it provides personal, environment and product protection. Move on to next slide. There are 4 types of class 2 biosafety cabinets are there. To name: class 2 A1, class 2 A2, class 2 B1, class 2 B2. And here different factors like inlet air velocity, percent of the air blow and exhaust system and applications has been given. You can go through. Next slide. Here class 2 type biosafety cabinet is given on the right hand side top, and at the bottom right hand side class 2 type B2 biosafety cabinet is picture is given, and on the left hand side class 1 biosafety cabinet picture is given. You can go through. Next slide. This class 3 biosafety cabinet. Class 3 biosafety cabinet, sealed gas tight cabinet. Here the access to the work surface is by means of heavy duty rubber gloves which are attached to the ports in the cabinet, and the supply air is HEPA filtered. Exhaust air passes through 2 HEPA filters, and it is suitable for working in biosafety level 3 and level 4 laboratories. It provides protection against risk group 3, 4 and above, and a small picture is given on right hand side top where a scientist is working in biosafety cabinet class 3. Next slide. Here a detailed picture is given how exactly this heavy duty rubber gloves are provided in the biosafety cabinet. On the left hand side you can see, and on the right hand side you can see how the scientists are working by inserting their hands through these rubber gloves, and on the top right side you can see a cross picture how the hands are inserted in the biosafety cabinet on the platform. Next slide. Working in biosafety cabinet. Turn the biosafety cabinet for at least 10 to 15 minutes prior to the use if the cabinet is not left running. Disinfect the work surface with 70% alcohol or other suitable disinfectant. Wear appropriate personal protective equipment. Adjust the working height of the stool so that the worker's face is above the front opening. Do not disturb the airflow by covering any of the grill work with a material. Next slide. Place items in cabinet so that they can be worked with effectively without unnecessary disruption of the airflow. Working with material from clean to dirty side is to be practiced. Minimize the frequency of moving hands in and out of the cabinet. Work at a moderate pace to provide the airflow disruption that occurs with rapid movement, and wipe the bottom side of the hood surface with disinfectant when work is completed. Next slide. Secondary barriers. Facility design. To protect personnel working inside and outside the laboratory and to protect the people or animal in the community, these secondary barriers are important, and it depends on the risk of the transmission of the specific agent, whether it is a direct or indirect contact. Next slide. Biosafety level 1. Facility design. It is suitable for handling group 1 organisms. The requirements are: laboratory should have doors properly, a sink for hand washing, work surface easily cleaned, and bench tops are impervious to the water so that nothing will leak inside the tables, and windows fitted with fly screens. Other design and construction issues like location not separated, need not any separate location need not be there, and structure not normal construction you can follow, and ventilation no special requirements are there for biosafety level 1. Next slide. Biosafety level 2, it is suitable for group 2 agents. It is the same as biosafety level 1, only additionally the location is it should be separated from public areas, and ventilation, it is a directional ventilation, okay, and airflow into lab without recirculation to the lab areas, means the air should flow from one side and it should move to the other side of the laboratory. The pictures are given in this slide, you can go through. Next slide. Biosafety level 3, the facility design suitable for handling of group 2 agents, for example rabies, equine encephalitis virus, and Japanese encephalitis virus, Bacillus anthracis, Mycobacterium bovis. Here you can, in the picture, labeling with number 1 to 6 has been given. You can go through how this facility design for biosafety level 3 is there. Next slide. Biosafety level 3 facility design, it requires biosafety level 1 and 2 facilities. Along with that, it requires enclosures for aerosol generation equipment. Walls, floors and ceilings are water resistant for easy cleaning. Separate building or isolated zone within a building. Directional inward airflow. Single pass air can be recirculated if HEPA filters are available. Double door entry, and additional requirement depending on work and agents include HEPA filtration of exhausts, effluent decontamination, personal showers, personal wearing additional appropriate PPE including respiratory protection. Biosafety level 4 facility designs, agents which cause severe to fatal disease in human for which vaccine or other treatments are not available. Such agents are handled here. Dangerous or exotic agents that pose a high individual risk of aerosol transmitted to laboratory infections. Access to the laboratory is strictly controlled. Specific or thorough training in handling of infectious agents is given. Entrance and exit of contain multiple showers. Like it also contains vacuum rooms, UV light rooms and multiple airlocks. Next slide. All air and water services in going to and coming from undergo similar decontamination processes to eliminate the possibility of an accidental release. Facility is either in a separate building or in a controlled area within a building which is completely isolated from all other areas. The examples that are handled here are Ebola, Zaire virus, Rift Valley fever virus, etc. Next slide. Here a picture of biosafety cabinet 4 facility design is being given. You can go through carefully. On the left hand side you can see how a scientist enter into access control room. Then in the next he will be removing these cloths, then be wearing the laboratory cloths. Those are called as this scrub suit, and then he will, after taking shower, he will wear this scrub suit, and then he will work on this laboratory area, and then if required he will enter into the biosafety level 4 laboratory wearing the appropriate suit. That suit is a positive pressure suit which is depicted in a blue color in the picture. On the left hand side bottom you can see a red color suit which is worn by the scientist present in the picture, and then he will take shower with the suit, and then he will enter into the biosafety level 4 laboratory. On the top hand side the arrow marks are being given how exactly a scientist will enter, he will work and move out of the biosafety level 4 laboratory. Next slide. Here biosafety level 4 laboratories in India, examples are given where they are. We have 3 biosafety level 4. One is in Bhopal, that is a National Institute of High Security Animal Disease Laboratory, NISHAD, and second one is in Hyderabad, that is in Telangana, Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology, CCMB. Third one is Pune, Maharashtra, Microbial Containment Complex. So year of establishment and a description is being given here, you can go through. Next slide. Risk groups, biosafety levels and practices and equipments are being discussed here. Biosafety level 1, is required for basic teaching and research. Laboratory practices are good microbial practices, and no safety equipments are required here. When biosafety level 2 you are working, that is required in primary health services, diagnostic services and research. Here good microbial techniques are practiced with protective clothing and biohazard sign. Here open bench plus biological safety cabinet for protective aerosols are required. And BSL level 3 specific diagnostic services and in research centers they are used as biosafety level 2 plus specific clothing, controlled access and directional airflow is required in laboratory. And biological safety cabinet or other primary devices for all activities are required. And BSL level 4 dangerous pathogenic agents are handled here. Here biosafety level 3, along with that facilities required are airlock entry, shower exit and special waste. And safety equipment required here are class 3 biological safety cabinet, positive pressure chutes and double ended autoclave through the wall, and filtered air are things required in biosafety level 4. Next slide. Good laboratory practices. Strictly adhere to the standard practices and techniques to reduce the number of employees at the risk of exposure. Person must be aware of potential hazard, and he must be trained and proficient. And PI should identify the specific hazards. The principal investigator should identify the specific hazards, and the personnel should be advised of specific hazards. Practices to reduce exposure by direct and indirect contact, percutaneous exposures, exposure by ingestion and exposure by inhalation should be avoided. Here you can see one scientist working with adopting with this good laboratory practices. Next slide. Here standard microbiological practices are given, and how one should wear hand gloves, the sanitation with the disinfectant, and how to wear a mask and how to wear this gauntlets are given here. Wearing of apron and disposal of the biological hazard agents, and a sign of not eating, drinking or smoking in this area. And the standard biological practices include not permit in laboratories activities like drinking, eating, smoking, handling contact lenses, pipetting by mouth and storing of food and drinks. Next slide. It is continued. This is how to dispose the biological waste. It should be disposed properly. You are working on a platform, you should dispose it in a polythene bag, or if you can dispose in a dustbin as shown in the picture. Next slide. Animal facilities. 4 standard animal biosafety level 1 to 4 are also described for experimental animals. They provide increased levels of protection to personnel and environment. Animals may generate aerosols, they may bite, scratch, and they may be infected with zoonotic agents. And co-applications of BSL and ASBL is required. Next slide. ABSL 4 working in high containment area. This is a picture showing how to work in ABSL 4, how a positive pressure suit is worn and how the animals are handled. To conclude my presentation, biohazards are microorganisms, blood or bloody fluids, tissues and tissue cultures. Biosafety is ensuring that the individuals and environment are not infected. Biosecurity is used in context of protecting dangerous pathogens and toxins against intentional misuse or removal, and with proper knowledge, planning, care, a biological exposure is avoidable. So this is for today's presentation. Thank you.